Well, folks, welcome to the channel and welcome to another episode. Today, we're going to be looking at a Mora. And not like a Mora, what you would think of really inexpensive with great value and great capability. We're talking about like Mora expensive. So that's what we're gonna be looking at today, is this Mora Companion Tactical. We're gonna discuss that topic today. If putting on a black handle, spraying on a black coating, and adding a MOLLE compatible sheath makes a tactical companion, because that's what Mora is calling it on the site. We will just talk about not only just its normal capabilities, but also we will talk in concept of would this be a good, military law enforcement tactical knife? We will discuss that today, or is it just Mora expensive? Now, this companion has this powder coat. I think they call it an ED coating or something like that. We'll talk a little bit more as we go through here. You can see it's already wearing off like crazy. It's basically like a spray-on coating. Then we do have that Scandi Grind, and we have that 4.1-inch cutting edge, and we do have the stainless steel. So this is made with the stainless steel, and that is with their Sandvik 12C27 steel with a Rockwell of 56 to 58, if I remember correctly, off the top of my head. And I've seen good edge retention, good capability, for a stainless steel. It's very good, particularly around the price that we're talking about. No real issues there in that sense, but I mean, it's definitely got that slim, piercing 4.1-inch blade shape that we know from Mora with all of their companion and heavy-duty companion designs. So I'm going to get this out of the way right now. This is not a tactical knife. I'm sorry. I'm not going to carry this for a combat knife, a field knife, or anything else like that. This is a bushcraft knife or a camp knife. There are literally thousands of good field knife or combat knives out there on the market that are going to be way stronger, way more durable, with better traction around the handle, and we'll talk a little bit more about that in a little bit. Now, yes, this could do some stabbing tests for you. Yes, this can go through nylon rope and cordage and seat belts and those type of things that somebody in the military or law enforcement would want, but because of the Scandi Grind, because of the thinness of the blade, it just isn't set up, in my opinion, to be a true combat knife or a quote-unquote tactical knife. This is just a black companion that's going to be a great outdoor bushcraft companion knife. That's what it's set up for. That is what it's designed for. So don't be suckered into believing that this is some kind of good police or military knife. I would take millions of other knives over this one in those type of applications. But for outdoors bushcraft tasks or camp tasks, this is a phenomenal blade. Man, that is making it super easy. That Scandi Grind. I love Scandi Grinds for this type of work and how they do woods craft so well. Mora knows what they're doing with these Scandi Grinds. Look at that. Yeah, buddy. Woo! Turn it up. So if you go with the full-blown upgraded version, we'll talk about this a little bit later in the video, but this is going to come with a MOLLE compatible sleeve. Now, it'll have the same molded plastic sheath that we know from lots and lots of Moras, very similar, but this sleeve is inserted over the plastic sheath, and then they give you this giant MOLLE tab back here so you can attach it to PAL's webbing. It is really quiet. In fact, it's completely silent. And then they give you this little elastic band right here that you pop off to then be able to deploy the blade. So it is removable, so you could take this off, put it on other Moras as well if you desire. It's interesting. Again, I think that's a nice added little feature. It'd be cool to see them sell that separately, I believe. Would be awesome. As it stands, sure, it's a nice upgrade. Does it make it so that's like super tactical? Not in my mind. It just makes it better for attaching to different pieces of gear. Now, how about the price on this knife? Now, this knife on Amazon, when I am filming this, and obviously prices always vary and fluctuate, but when I'm filming this, I checked it, it was $36 on Amazon. I will have a link in the description below. If you are interested in this knife, that's a great way to use those hyperlinks, help support the channel. Now, if you like everything else about the knife, you like the black on black, you like the steel, you like the black coating, but you don't want the MOLLE compatibility for some reason, you can get this exact same knife without the MOLLE compatible attachments for $26. So that is an option as well. So when it comes to the price point, you know, I mean, is it a fair price point? I mean, yeah, it's, you know, about 35 bucks-ish is what you're gonna be paying. You are getting all the quality that you would know from a Mora plus a MOLLE attachment. So it's not unreasonable, but when you can buy, you know, a heavy-duty companion or just a normal companion for around $20, it's hard to justify just for the MOLLE attachment and a black coating. I mean, with that, you know, unless that is exactly what you're looking for, you know, just go with the normal and save yourself $15. And I really believe that this is what is happening with Mora. They've started out for years at being so reasonable that now when they start to mark up their prices, you know, with the bushcraft black now usually being over 50 bucks. I bought it a few years ago for like 35 and that was the going rate. Now this one going for 35. I know that new one, that's the full tang version, you know, that one's pushing like 100-ish around there. They've kind of shot themselves in the foot because now we expect a great product for such a low price point that when they start to raise the prices, when it was maybe, say, another knife name and knife company, we'd be totally fine with $35, but when we know we can get a $20 Mora, why spend the extra money? So that, I think, is a problem that Mora is trying to overcome right now, and something that we have to consider as well when we're purchasing these newer designs and these newer options that Mora is producing. Now, I do want to run in the heavy-duty companion, which I've had for years. Love it. A lot of you have it out there for 20 bucks. It's one of the best knives out there, and it's going to be almost impossible to, you know, find something in the similar size range that can do bushcraft tasks as well. For under $100, honestly, when it really comes down to it. And only then it's basically edge retention and maybe an upgraded sheath because they're using maybe more premium steel. So with this is the companion. This is the companion heavy duty. And it's odd to me, if this is supposed to be a tactical knife, why they didn't do a tactical heavy duty companion and went with the tactical companion, because there is a difference. They have the exact same blade length. This is the high carbon. This is the stainless steel. You know, they both have the same tangs down about 3/4 of the way. But you are looking at a slight difference. The companion is going to weigh 3 ounces. This guy is 3.5 ounces. And then the companion with the sheath is 4.8 ounces, and it's 5.6 with the MOLLE compatible sheath. So this guy is actually going to weigh a little bit more, so take that into consideration. And then you have the 0.12 thickness on the heavy duty companion. You got the 0.1 thickness on the companion. And then finally, the overall length on the companion is 8.6. And then the heavy duty companion is 8.75. So the heavy duty companion has a slightly longer handle and a bigger palm swell right here along the middle. So it's just odd to me, if we are saying this is a tactical knife, that we wouldn't go with a slightly larger handle, longer handle for tactical gloves, and a thicker, stouter spine. So actually, when it comes to actual bushcraft style tasks, the companion, the tactical companion, is better than the bushcraft black, than the heavy duty companion, because of the fact that it has a thinner blade, so it's easier to go through material. So just kind of odd. So I do want to run in 2 other field knives / combat knives that I believe are much more in tune for that, and I would take any day of the week over the Mora. Now, to be clear, I am not in the military. I've never served in the military, but after having used tons of knives for different tasks, speaking with not only friends of mine who have served in the armed forces, but also speaking with just people in general that have served in the military and what they look for in combat knives and field knives that they carry on their LBE rig systems. I know that the Mora is just not there in comparison to, say, these two knives that we have here before us. I'll talk through that real briefly. Now, I know Mora does issue these to, I guess, some law enforcement or military units over in Europe. That's great. And I'm sure I'll get some comments of some people who do carry this on their LBE system, the Mora. That's great, again. But I believe when we are comparing this Mora companion versus knives that are really designed for that, you're going to see that these are just much more set up, and I would take either of these knives over this knife. Now, the first thing is durability and just how the blades are designed. The Mora is that partial tang. It's about a 3/4 tang down to here, and the stock is, as we've talked about, 0.1. We have full tangs on both of these knives here, and the stock is 0.18, so much thicker, so it's going to handle a lot more abuse. It's not going to have the possibility of chipping, breaking, snapping. Moras are very tough, very durable, but I would trust that level of thickness over, I mean, that's a significantly thicker blade on these two other knives compared to the Mora, and then having that knowledge of having that full tang. One of the other aspects are the grinds. Now, with a Scandi Grind, the edge is very fine and very sharp, which is great again for woodscraft, but not so great for harder combat tasks and utility tasks, where the Gerber has a saber grind and the SOG has a shallow hollow grind. So it has that secondary bevel, so you have that extra strength on the edge. You'll also notice that with most field combat knives, they have a clip point buoy design blade. So they have this swedge up here that not only gives it strength, but also stabbing capability. So it's going to penetrate real nice. The Mora doesn't offer that at all. Now, it has a pretty good tip on there, but when it comes to penetration and stabbing and then tip durability, these two knives are going to have much stronger and better penetrating tips than the Mora would. Traction is another aspect as well. Most field combat knives will have really pronounced guards. This one has top and bottom that are dual, and then really heavy traction along the sides, which is really nice. The Mora, again, doesn't have that because it originally was designed, I believe, as, you know, that outdoor woods field bushcraft knife. So it's really rounded, really ergonomic, but low traction in comparison to these other two blades, and just a minute little guard there in comparison, again, to the Gerber, and then to the SOG up here. Again, a really nice deep guard, heavy traction on that glass reinforced nylon all the way around, and then a top guard as well. So that's going to keep your hand on the knife, and then these grooves. So I mean, super heavy traction. It may not be as comfortable, you know, for woods work as the Mora would, but again, that's because the Mora is more of a woods knife. These are combat knives. So to just be aware of that you're going to have better traction, better lockup in your hands, particularly gloves, with these two knives than you would on this one. And finally, the sheaths and mounting system. Now, again, as we discussed, the MOLLE Sleeve here is nice, and that does add extra lashing options, but it's not as fast to deploy as these two other knives, and they have a lot more lashing points, MOLLE compatibility, and different things like that, and are just better set up for LBE systems than the MOLLE is. Now, again, nice upgrade, but it doesn't compete with most other hard molded plastic or Kydex sheaths that are on the market when we are talking about this field knife, combat knife style of blade. And so ultimately, guys, that's why I believe the tag on of tactical to the end of the companion name, the Mora Companion Tactical, it doesn't fit in my mind into what I would, again, personal opinion, consider a combat tactical knife. These two would, for the reasons that we've discussed. All right, let's bring this video to the close and give you my final thoughts on this knife. Now, I think that Mora is doing a good job in the sense of kind of upgrading some of the attachments for the sheath. I like that aspect. I'd like to see these sold separately in the future. Everywhere I hunted around, I couldn't find the nylon MOLLE attachment. You know, if they sold that for like 15 bucks, that would be fantastic. Then we could put it on some of our other knives without having to buy this knife. As we've said throughout the whole video, I'm not gonna really harp on it anymore. I would not carry it as a tactical knife. That's my opinion. You know, your experience and mileage may vary. There's just so many other knives out there that would do a tactical military field knife task better, in my opinion. So ultimately, guys, it's kind of like 50-50. If you like it, sweet, buy it. You're gonna love it. If you don't, I totally understand. I'm right there with you. I wish some things had been tweaked and maybe this could have been an epic blade. But as always, guys, I just hope that this has shown you what the Mora Companion Tactical can do and whether or not it's going to fit inside one of your systems. As always, check us out on all the relevant social media. Please subscribe, comment, like, share this video. Love to hear your guys' thoughts. And as always, remember, stay equipped, stay prepared, and we'll see you out there.